All right, I think it's time to robocall this week's biggest bogon emitter. And for the third time, it goes to Rand Paul, and our love-hate relationship with him continues. After his father, Ron Paul, supported Libertarian Robert Sarvis and not Republican Ken Cuccinelli in the Virginia gubernatorial election, his son Rand once again goes the opposite way of his father in a very different way. He recorded a message urging people to vote for Republican David Jolly and not Libertarian Lucas Overby, who are candidates for House Florida District 13 for the special election they just had, and a robocall paid for by Carl Rove's organization, American Crossroads. Jonathan, how close is this to you down that way? You know much about this runoff election?
This is a big. This is down the other side of the state, but this is the main thing the state LP was going with for a while. So, yeah, but Overby ran a very good campaign. He got himself, I think it was the first time in Florida, in the history of Florida, that we got a libertarian candidate on a televised debate with the Republican and Democratic challenger.
Oh, that's good.
And he was polling pretty solid numbers up until election day. He was getting upwards of like 10 to 15%.
Wow.
And once again, sort of the narrative that you always see once a libertarian, Jolly, he's gonna watch. You better watch out. Lucas Overby's gonna steal all his votes.
Mm-hmm. And that was the reason given by American Crossroads President and CEO Stephen Law for this robocall they had Rand Paul do. Quote, "We need to make sure that Lucas Overby does not become a spoiler that gives Nancy Pelosi one more vote in the House. And no one in the center right has more gravitas to help here than Senator Rand Paul."
You know, I should like to point out that even in the exit poll results and all the polls that were done prior to that, the vast majority of people who said they were going to vote for Overby said that if it was just Jolly or what, Alex Sink, who's a tool of the Florida Democratic Party, they said they were just going to stay home.
Yeah. Well, what happened was Overby ended up getting 4.8% of the vote. Jolly ended up beating Alex Sink by 1.9%. So he got quite a bit more than the spread. But I mean, if David Jolly had lost to Alex Sink, it would have been the fault of David Jolly and the Republicans, not the fault of Lucas Overby and the Libertarians.
What? So what you're saying is he would not have had a jolly good time.
Oh.
I regret nothing.
See, this is what happens when it's live. I can't cut out things like that.
But honestly, it just shows me that there's third parties are actually viable, and the two parties are scared. They're terrified.
Oh yeah, they got to find every excuse. They have to know that this spoiler argument is bogus. But just like in Virginia, they see themselves they might lose. And they gotta blame someone. They can't blame themselves. There's no personal accountability or anything here that the Republicans stand for. They don't stand for that any more than they stand for small government. No. We have to find someone else to blame.
Yeah, it's always been in this way. They always try to keep the little guy down. It's a handshake deal, man. It's a handshake with both the Democrats and Republicans to keep the little guy down. And now when the Republican Party, and the funny thing is about Service, he got majority of Democratic votes. I mean, people like, I don't want the Democratic voters are voting the Libertarian guy in because they feel like the Democratic guy is not liberal enough or what have you. And I'm like, makes sense. Hey, if he might work and might work, I'm like, you know what? Let the guy have a shot. And he campaigned and he made to the ballot. What is wrong with him getting them votes? Unless you want to strike him from the ballot and say, okay, it's only Democrat and Republican, then
that's what they want to do.
Yes. Then honestly, why not just make a law and say only Democrats and Republicans go to run in elections then?
They practically have.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's called top two.
Yeah, it is. But why are you going to get upset when you have someone who is doing his own thing and he actually takes the voters, then it's your job to get those voters back. Talk about your plans. Talk about how you're going to improve not just the state you're going into and have you, but also you're going to say what you can do to make the country better. That sort of thing. Instead of just saying, wow, this guy is opposing me. Yeah. He's just getting it in. Like, gosh, man, stop whining and actually just do your daggone job and actually try to convince the people. Yeah. Instead of just, we can't do it. No, you can do it. You just have to actually convince your argument. Give a good argument and people will vote for you. And don't be such a hypocrite and actually try to get at least what most of these things done. You're not going to get 100%, but at least try to get most of them done. But
Jonathan, is there anything in the exit polls that say how many votes he might have taken away from Alex Sink?
Let me see if I can pull up some of the.
Because if you look at a lot of his stances, he might actually be more attractive to a lot of Democrats than Singh, so he might have taken a lot of her votes. And I've seen that in the past, a lot of times when they try to pull up the data and get it, they find that libertarians actually take pretty much equally from the Democrats, the Republicans, and people who otherwise wouldn't have voted.
The thing is, though, what a self-defeating argument the spoiler argument is when you think about it. Are you saying that you suck that bad that somebody else is going to take votes away from you? Like you don't have enough confidence that people are going to vote for you?
What about this idea that they own your vote to begin with?
Well, that's silly, but it's still a very self-defeating argument. When you say, oh, well, if this guy runs, people aren't going to vote for me, and they'll vote for more Democrats. Like, do you have no confidence in your ability at all to run an election?
Yeah.
Let me give me one more second. Okay.
So what does it say?
Found a Reason article.
We're live.
Yes, yeah. This is live. Let's not have dead air.
Let's see. Oh, lovely. Apparently none of the local news organizations conducted any exit polling.
Oh. Oh well.
So. Yeah.
Well, so that happened.
But like I said, I know for some of the polls that were done beforehand. Let me see here. There's one I know the St. Pete Times did that basically said to the effect that as the majority of those who would have voted for Overby we're just gonna sit home anyway.
But they didn't say anything about the rest of them who they would have voted for?
No, let me see here.
Yeah. All right, well, either way, bottom line, Rand Paul, once again, this week's biggest bogon emitter.
Of course.